Hello, career thought leaders. It's good to see you here today. And we are going to be talking about the one mistake that I see so many business owners, career services providers making that get in their way of getting clients. Now, this same mistake also impacts your clients when they're trying to use LinkedIn to get a job. So you're going to learn today the mistake that you can avoid if you want to get more clients and how you can translate that mistake into your job seeker language and why they are not getting the results from LinkedIn that they want. So we come every Tuesday, Trend Tuesday Live, and we talk about what's going on in the now, the new, and the next in careers. We love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. So say hello in the chat. Let us know if you're joining us for the first time or if you join us regularly. We'd love to hear that too. So drop a note in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from in the globe. And if it's your first time or if you've joined us here before, we'd love to say hello. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you get notified every time we create one of these live streams or post a video. Let's talk about this one mistake that many people are making on LinkedIn. Now, you might be thinking, oh, I need to get some juicy how-tos or some secrets, but there really aren't any. And one of the things that when we talk about using LinkedIn, a lot of times we want to talk about the how-tos or the algorithm. But I've been teaching a class about using LinkedIn to build your visibility, build your digital brand for about 5 years, probably a little bit longer. And what I've noticed is that the how-tos aren't really what get in people's way. And that's really not the mistake that we make. And so, yes, we'll talk a little bit about the how-tos and we'll talk about some practical ways that this mistake carries over into those practical areas of LinkedIn. But what happens in most people's lives is that they know how to. I mean, posting on LinkedIn is not that difficult. Maybe what to post, but again, most of us business owners, we make that harder than it really needs to be. But there's some other things that we do that get in our way, and one thing specifically. But before we jump into that, just going to say hello to some of you. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Anne. Thanks for joining us. It's good to see you. So I was thinking about this content for today. The first thing that came to my mind was that we confuse branding with marketing or sales. But then I dug a little deeper, and what really this mistake is that we confuse visibility with business. And this is a big mistake. And you might think, oh, I'm not making this, or you might think, I don't really know what you mean. Don't worry, we'll go a little deeper. But visibility, posting content, does not equal business. Now, let me just give you a case study on this. So I interviewed Emilio Nelson yesterday, Nelson Emilio, on Career Confidant Radio. And he is amazing. If you missed that session, go back and listen to it. You can get there, careerconfidant.com/ and we did LinkedIn liftoff, so LinkedIn-liftoff. Or you just go to Voice America Career Confidant Radio. You can find it there from yesterday. But he has built an amazing business on LinkedIn without ever posting content. I shouldn't say ever. Very rarely posting content on LinkedIn. And you can go and see he posts maybe once a week of content. But he has built his entire business using LinkedIn as a tool. And you might think, well, how does he get so much business if he's never posting content? This is the difference. This is what we're missing. And it's what our clients miss too, a lot of times when it comes to LinkedIn, is that you're confusing visibility with marketing or sales and business. Now, the reason that I didn't want to say we're confusing branding with marketing and sales is because I think a lot of people don't even dive that deep into branding, which is, the visibility piece of it, the thought leadership piece. That is super important. But there's a whole realm of that many people miss when they're thinking about using LinkedIn for their business. So they think, oh, I'm going to get on, I'm going to build my brand, or build, maybe what I need to be known for. But they don't think about what's really important to your clients. Who are your clients? Where are they? What are they reading? What other topics are they paying attention to? And so not only are they trying to build visibility only on LinkedIn, but they're trying to build it in kind of a vacuum of what they want to be known for without thinking about the entire landscape, which means they're only catching people every once in a great while when they happen to catch in their feeds. Now, when we think about branding, really it's much deeper than that. And I know some of you on this call have taken the certified personal branding or taken the certified digital branding class. And we know that branding is really understanding what you want to be known for, who your target audience is, like deep, who are they? What do they care about? What are their problems? What are their pains? What are their desires? And most of us, even me, I always do more work in really understanding that. And to that point, I do have a little poll survey going on right now. If you are, if you work with LinkedIn, if you use LinkedIn in your business, or even using it with clients, I'd love to hear what your challenges are in using LinkedIn, because we're going to be doing a few more of these videos in the next coming weeks. And I'd love to be able to address your questions and your challenges. So if you go to careertl.com/LinkedIn challenges, you will, actually it's just LI challenges. You will have just 2 quick questions to answer and share your thoughts on what gets in your way for LinkedIn, so that I can weave some of that into the upcoming week's videos. Happy to answer some how-tos, as well as some of the other deeper challenges that we get into when we start talking about LinkedIn. So today's mistake, you're misconstruing visibility for business. So you've done the branding and you start thinking, okay, I'm going to build my thought leadership. That's still in the branding realm. And that's important. It's important for us to build name recognition, to build some of that. But we aren't big businesses. I don't know about you. Maybe you do, but I don't have the marketing budget of a Coca-Cola or Pepsi. I can't afford to broadcast to everyone. So if I'm not really clear on who my audience is, what topics are important to them, where they're showing up, and there's some intricacies of that on LinkedIn that we'll talk about a little bit today and then get into a little bit more next week. But if I'm not really clear on who they are, I am building visibility, and I'm spending a lot of energy and a lot of time trying to build visibility to everyone. And it gets tiring. And, we usually don't have the time and energy to do that. But yet we don't know what else to do. So we find ourselves burning out, and like churn and burn, because we think we should just pump out all this content. But that is only one part of the process. And in fact, oftentimes we aren't doing that very clearly or in a very strategic way. So when we think about our brand, then we've got to connect it to marketing. So this is the piece where most of us start to not do this very well. And, I'll jump right in there with you, because it's hard, it's challenging. And most importantly, it challenges our confidence. Do I deserve to do this? Do I be here? Am I bugging people? There's a lot of mental gymnastics here. That's nothing to do with the how-tos of translating that brand and the visibility that we might build into a marketing strategy. So marketing is where I'm clear about the offers that I create and that I offer, and how you can engage with those offers. Now, I know that there's a lot of people on LinkedIn who will say, if you sell, you lose your people. But if you watch really closely, the people that do this well, and the people who at least say that they're getting business off LinkedIn, which is a whole nother thing, but when they say they're getting business from their content, they are doing this really well. They're doing it so well that it doesn't feel like they're marketing to you, because it's connected and it's all woven in. But they are offering in every single post. They've got some kind of an offer. It's clear what they do. It's clear how they help people. It's clear why you would do business with them, even though that might not be the push or that you're hearing that specifically. But you can see that they're creating the desire, they're creating the pain, and they're telling you a little bit, at least, about how you would connect with them for them to help you do that. And when this is done well, it doesn't feel salesy. It feels like, I like to see, we're coaches here, so I like to see it as kind of this warm hug or this embrace that I care about your problems. I care about what's bothering you. And I'm going to offer this solution, this kind of wraparound that I can that I can help you, that I can be there to be the person that supports you in achieving these goals. The challenge is that we've got to have our branding and our thought leadership connect to our offers in a way that makes sense. And this is where a lot of us miss the boat. And I want you to look for this when you see people posting on LinkedIn. Don't just look at their content, look at how many people are liking it or commenting on it. Really look to see how are they connecting their content to their offers. And is that clear? And you can start to capture some good examples of that, because it's important that we start to learn how to do that, and capture those pieces. So that's the second part, marketing. And then sales is the last piece. Now, in the helping professions, I oftentimes see that sales is kind of a dirty word, right? We don't want to sell. We don't want to talk about closing or conversions and all those things. And the language we use is important because we work with people and we usually are people. And yet we have to have that piece of our process. When we don't, we sit up here spinning in the content creation world, wondering why we're burned out, wondering why nothing's happening, because we're not following it through the process to the sale. So we've got our brand, we've got our thought leadership, then we market, we make it clear what our offer is in every single post. Remember, that doesn't have to feel salesy. It's about telling people what you do, making it clear the problems that you solve, and then making that connection point of how you work with me really easy. And that can be done in your profile. It doesn't have to be done in a call to action to the post, but the clearer that is, the more likely it is that you will get people to connect with you and actually be able to make a sale. Now, I told you earlier that Nelson's got this great process. He's going to share some of that with us at the CTL Symposium, which I'm excited for. So he's going to share some of the ways that he does this. And he's not the only one that talks about this, but he's built his business by not worrying so much about the content part of his branding. His branding is more caught up in his speaking gigs and the way that he presents himself through it, his LinkedIn profile and other places. But then he's got the sales piece down, so that I am connecting and building relationships, and I'm turning those into sales conversations, let's put this in like coaching, counseling language, into conversations where I'm really figuring out what is going on for this person or this organization. I'm doing an assessment of what are they trying to achieve and what have they tried already and what are the gaps. And then I'm developing a solution from my expertise that can help them achieve their goals. But that only happens when you get to people in a one-on-one type of conversation. So he talked a little bit yesterday about using the LinkedIn research tools, using messaging, so that we are getting right into the relationship piece, and we're allowing our branding to be there so that people can go back and see what we stand for, what we post about, what our thought leadership is. But we're not expecting that thought leadership to create the business. We're doing the research and the work and the prospecting and the conversations to create the business, and then letting them reflect back on the brand to see our credibility as they decide to have that meeting or decide to move forward after the meeting. And that's the piece of it that is like nerve-wracking, right? You drop that in the chat, whether you're watching it live or you do the replay, like that's scary, #scary, right? That you have to reach out to people and make those connections. You can't just sit around and wait for them to ask to do business with you based on your profile, based on your website, based on your posts. That's this very passive piece that feels safe. It feels so much safer to sit there to do our content and think, okay, people will contact me when I strike the right chord. But then you're frustrated. You're not meeting your revenue goals. You're not working with the types of clients you'd really like to work with. You're not helping with the problems you'd really like to help solve. And it's because we're being too passive in what we're doing. Now let's take this to the job search side of things. I'd see a lot of people talking about profile and profile optimization. And Nelson and I talked about that yesterday too, that the keyword piece of that is so important. But they can't just sit around and wait to be found. In fact, even posting content is not going to help them get that straight line to a job. So digital branding is great, right? Building your visibility, making sure you've got that online footprint, making sure you understand how to do that, but it doesn't have that direct line to achieving job search goals or business goals. So we have to have both. We have to have that brand so that people will find us, so that they can check us out. But then we've got to do the more active piece of job search or business building, where we're reaching out and having those conversations. And this is the piece of it that our job seekers are also really afraid to do. And so we've been teaching them to do it. We tell them, network, reach out to people. And yet we are sitting here waiting for someone to respond to our content and magically ask us to do business. So we really have to be careful about that, just with ourselves, just like we would be with a job seeker. And yes, job seekers can post content, but it kind of depends on what's their runway. If they need a job now, if they're in crisis mode, posting content's not the most important thing for them to be doing on LinkedIn or elsewhere. They can be doing so many more active things, like commenting, engaging, using messaging, using research, making those connections, asking for introductions, all of those more active things that will help them move faster in their job search. And then if they have time, sure, post content once a week. But what I've been seeing, and I've been doing some consultations with job seekers for some other coaches, and people are not, they just don't even think about that more active piece of using LinkedIn. And if you're a coach out there, start teaching it, because very, very few people are. And it's not about the how-tos. That's the challenge, is that you could tell the how-tos all day long. Don't be afraid of giving those how-tos away, because that's not standing in people's way. They need a coach who can help them feel comfortable doing it, who can walk through all the what ifs and will I bother people, and I'm scared of being vulnerable. They need all of that, because posting on LinkedIn is not hard. Doing messaging, not hard. I mean, you can ask ChatGPT to write a script for you, or you can find scripts, and those are good. They help people. But when it comes right down to it, there's so many other things that get in people's way of actually making those decisions and taking that action. And I'm guessing the same is the true for you and in doing your work. So again, I'd love to hear what your challenges are in using LinkedIn, so that we can add some more of that into the future weeks. We have like a 3 or 4 week series here on LinkedIn and LinkedIn challenges. So share with me what those are. I'm happy to reach out to you individually, because you can put your email in there and share that. And then I'll bring those to these sessions as well, where I can talk about more of the specifics. But the big takeaway for today, let's tie this up in our little coaching bow. Big takeaway for today is that branding and visibility does not equal sales. There's a process, and there's some specific actions that you want to take to move from content to conversations. We've got to, take that content and make it specific, make it strategic, have those offers, but there's still going to be some specific actions you want to take to get from that piece to the conversations. Are you doing research? Are you reaching out to potential customers? Are you reaching out to potential partners? Are you having those conversations that really help you understand what people are looking for and how they're connecting? Most of us are, because we do that in our individual consultations. But then are you turning that around and making it back into your content and your marketing and other conversations that you might have? And how can you use messaging tools to build relationships and have more of those conversations that then lead to the connection and the business and the discovery of how you might be able to offer those solutions? Because it all kind of serves in a little feedback loop, but you've got to take the actions to move people from the content and the visibility piece. And you may not even have to focus there. It's just one piece of the pie. It's just one way to get there. The research and the reach out is actually where the rubber hits the road. And it's why you see some people who are super successful using LinkedIn for business growth who actually don't post that much content, because they're using the back-end database prospecting route instead of the content creation route. And you can put them both together, but the content creation route by itself is why I see a lot of coaches burned out, because they're trying to have that by itself generate business. And it's hard. It takes a lot of visibility. And even then, if you're not on with your branding and your marketing strategy, you're going to have a hard time getting people connected to that end goal. So I hope that was helpful. Drop me some nuggets in the chat. What stood out to you today? And I'd love to hear from you too. What other challenges you have that we might be able to address? And don't forget that the 22nd, so coming up here soon, is the deadline to register for the symposium, meet Nelson in person, get to meet all of our other speakers in person, and really be amongst, yourself included, be amongst those other career thought leaders in the field and build those relationships that can lead to referrals, business, and all the other things you might want in your future success. So thank you, everyone. It was great to see you today, and I will look forward to seeing you next week. I will give you a little preview of what are some of the LinkedIn challenges that people shared. And like, subscribe if you're on YouTube. We'd love to have you back next week. And you can get that little bell notification if you do that. We will see you Trend Tuesday Live next time. Thank you, everyone.